Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Thriving Minds podcast with your host, Walter Parada, where we strive to provide you with empowering talks so you can live to thrive. I hope you find yourself in the right frame of mind, focusing on all the things within your control. All right, so today's episode, we're going to be talking about valuing the time with the people that you care for. I think many of us know the importance of, really appreciating our time with our family members, with our friends, with the people that we love. But too many times we get distracted by the daily things that occupy much of our attention. Whether it's school, whether it's work, whatever it is that we spend most of our time doing, obviously that grabs our attention, right? Much of our energy is focused towards, excelling at whatever that we're pursuing. And generally, as we become more experienced, we realize how important it is spending that time with the people that we really care for. And it doesn't always have to be a lot of time. It has to just be, that great quality time. Recently, I was fortunate enough to get to spend about 2 weeks with my mom, with my sister, with my aunt, and it was just such a great time. It's just so uplifting being around them. And this trip was a lot different than a lot of other past ones. Mainly because I've been focusing on myself, focusing on the business, and before I was always working for somebody else. So much of my commitment and time was to making others' dreams or others' goals come to life. So really my time was meant serving somebody else's wants in a sense. But just even from when I flew out, I anticipated just a whole different outlook where I was really valuing the time that I was going to spend with my mom and my sister. I even had the idea of how I had the vision of how I was going to see them at the airport, just the overall feelings of what I was expecting. And it was actually better than what I expected. Obviously, when we saw each other at the airport, it was this long, big hug of just sheer excitement, sheer appreciation, sheer love. And before, I was not valuing that as much. I was kind of getting out of the mode of work, and it took me like a couple days to settle in and really be present with my mom and my sister. But this time it was like right from the get-go, I was there just to be around them, to listen, to talk, to just feel their presence. And that's something that obviously is missing with just a phone call or a video call. So, that was really special. And generally, the younger we are, we have a lot of ambition, ideas of what we want to accomplish, what we want our lives to play out. And sometimes what gets overlooked is the people that we already have in our lives. Do we make a commitment to them? Most of the time, I would say we don't, because we're preoccupied with what we're focused on, what we're chasing, right? Whatever dream it is that we're chasing. And I know for me, that was part of it too. And I think this comes from a bit how we're conditioned, in the school system, that we're kind of told to, all right, you got to get a good education so you can secure yourself a good paying job. But many times what comes with that is moving away from family. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually great, to move away for a little bit. You kind of become independent. You can fend for yourself. But then there comes a point in time where it just becomes a little too much time away from being around the people that you've grown up with, that the people that cared for you and you cared for them, right? I can remember when I was in high school, I already had the idea that, man, I love spending time with my mom, with my sister. My mom was a single mother, so that made me value her even more because I saw how big of a commitment she made to really put her kids in a good situation so we can really thrive later in life. But then I was, hearing messages from the teachers and kind of almost out of fear too, right? You got to figure out what you're going to do with your life after high school because after that, life gets really hard. And obviously it does, but it's not so much like in your face, life is hard every day. And I can remember back in high school, my thinking started to be a little bit more, ambitious, which is obviously good. And when you're chasing, you know, whatever you're ambitious for, it kind of can take you far away from the people that you really care for. So the good thing was, I went to community college for 2 years and I got to spend that, I lived at home with my mom, saved money, but obviously got to value more of our time together. But then eventually, I moved to, which was 5.5 hours from where my mom lived, and I got to visit her once a month. But then, got a job out in Hawaii, and the beginning, I was just thinking, all right, all the potential that I can accomplish of, because eventually I wanted to have my own land, have my own ranch, and just live a lifestyle where I was kind of free. But that came with sacrifices, right? I think in the beginning I was like, all right, I'm going to go out and learn new things. And then, after 3, 4, 5 years, it really starts to weigh on me a little bit. In the past 11 years since I've been living in Hawaii, I've seen my mother 7 times. So that's not even once a year. And especially back in like 2017, 2018, I kind of thought, damn, Walter, what are you doing with your life? Like, obviously, you're gaining good professional experience, but I was still working for somebody else. I could only see, I wouldn't say I could only see, I could make a bigger commitment, but I was only seeing my mom once every 1.5 years or so. And, back in 2017, it really hit me like, damn, you got to get moving with your life. You got to get closer to your mom. And I don't know, maybe all those years being 5,000 miles away from her and only seeing her on weekends, it just wasn't cutting it. So maybe I needed to go through all that to really value my time even more with her. But right from the get-go when we saw each other this past trip, I just wanted to spend as much time with her doing whatever it was. And it was things like just being at the house, eating together. Mom, let's go shopping. What do you want me to do? That way I could alleviate some of her work, her tasks that needed to get done. And I was just fully present in the moment. I mean, every day I kept telling myself that I'm going to slow things down, just really take a moment and almost like you're pinching yourself. Is this for real? So that it was like almost magnifying the situation where I was fully immersed in it. So that first day, we got there like on a Tuesday late afternoon, and we just went home and kind of settled in, had dinner, and then the next day, my mom had to work, but me and my sister, we went to the mall. We just spent time together, and it was just so great to be around her. And just remember all the great times we had previously. And then the next day, we geared up for going to Disney World. So we took the 2.5 hour or 3 hour car ride up to Orlando. So that whole process of, kind of casually waking up whenever we wanted to, having breakfast, and then just heading straight out for Orlando. It was just really a magical experience that I I don't think I was really able to appreciate previously when I came back and visited. So that just made it a lot more special. So Disney obviously is our go-to place, and we kind of had loose plans of what we were gonna do, but it wasn't a strict schedule. We're gonna get to the park at this time. We're gonna ride this ride, and it was just play it by ear. So we checked into our hotel that Thursday late afternoon, and then we went out, to Disney Springs, which is uh, free. So we took advantage of that, but we didn't get back till 11. And then from there, we just slept in till I think it was about 9 o'clock. Had a kind of a late breakfast, and we left like at noon. We went to Animal Kingdom and we kind of played it by ear. We'll go on this ride, we'll park hop, and kind of that's how the whole weekend went. The next day we took a day off just to kind of sleep in, but each time I had breakfast, I would just like look at my mom, look at my sister, and see the the big smiles that they had on their faces, and it really just honestly it made me feel complete. And I don't know, that ambition that many of us have, which is good, right? It's trying to strike a balance between the two, because obviously if you want to, excel at a extremely high level, it requires a extremely big commitment, and many times that's a big commitment away from our family members, the people that we love, our friends, right? So that it kind of takes a back seat. So and it's very different for everybody, right? Some people are totally okay with you know going full throttle in their pursuits, and then everything else will kind of fall in line. But for me, the thing that I've always had a need for was a good amount of balance. So obviously, we all talk about that work-life balance. Some might even use the work-life harmony. But maybe for me, I think I could truly excel if I were closer to my mom, where I can see her 4, 5, 6 times a year and not have to kind of rush everything into a couple of weeks period to try to make up for lost time, right? So maybe that's kind of the things that I think I'm struggling with, is just the sheer lack of time I get to spend with my mom. And like I said, as we become more experienced, we get a little bit wiser, we tend to see how important our time really is. So we want to spend it with the people that we love. We want to spend that time doing something that we consider is valuable. So if you have a really tight knit family or tight knit friends, tight knit community where you've grown up, it's okay to go ahead and kind of move far away, but really remember what your priorities are. Remember what made you, really thrive, because sometimes being thrown in a completely new environment, obviously there's benefits to it, right? It's going to help you go through some hardships that are going to allow you to really grow. And those are opportunities that are really good to lean into. We want to avoid having that thinking of, oh, what could have been or what should have been, right? So that's always good to take on those things. But it's always remembering, like, damn, keeping those people who always loved you close to you. And then wherever you move to, however far it is, the more that one tends to succeed in or excel in, the more ingrained that new place becomes. So it makes it a lot difficult to really uproot yourself. It's not that it can't be done, it's just, you know, there can be a tendency to be hooked on that feeling where you're just, comfortable in what you're doing. Almost like a big commitment that is just too hard to break. Obviously, there's many cultures that, you know, the kids stay around the parents for whatever reason, right? The kids start their own family and they have their parents to help them out, or they just want to be around them, just want to care for their parents as they get older. And for me, that's super admirable. And that's something I always planned on doing. But really now it's starting to hit me hard because, I'm 11 years removed from being able to see my mom so often whenever I wanted to. So I think lately I've been reprioritizing the things that are important to me, and I got to be close to her. Obviously, time is our most valuable asset. So whatever time I can spend with her doing whatever it is makes me feel that I'm doing great things. Even the little things of eating at the table and just being around each other, looking at each other, talking, and just having a great time. We even did a Thanksgiving and a Christmas dinner in May, and that was just a wonderful time to experience. So it's really what you make of it, the time that you have. And too many times in whatever that we're pursuing, we come across many people that become acquaintances. Obviously, if we're fortunate enough, they become good friends. But in the end, your family members, even though you have your differences, which is a good thing because it makes things, it expands our horizons. It's good to, have opposing viewpoints because it really prepares us for the people that we encounter. Things are obviously not going to always go our way, so our family members prepare us for dealing with, people who think differently from us. But sometimes it can get to the point where, oh, I had enough of my family, right? I don't know. I think a couple years ago, maybe, I'd want to limit my family exposure. But now, because I'm just, happy in who I am and just happy in, I think I'm becoming a lot more patient and understanding that even when we have our differences, that doesn't mean that it needs to be taken personal. And sometimes that can be a big turnoff to maybe why we want to limit our time with our family members, right? We're kind of stuck in our ways. We think that our thinking is the right way, it's the only way. But many times it's really the thinking that works for each individual person. And then, in whatever lives that we form, it can be hard to kind of detach from the work that we're doing because just think about it. We spend anywhere from 40 or more hours per week working on a few things that are related to work, right? So our minds are being conditioned to input output. And then when we are with our families, there's almost like a detox period or a period to unwind from what we spend much of our time doing. So it takes a little bit of time to get into that rhythm when we're vacationing with them. And especially if it's just seeing somebody, seeing family members for a couple days or a week, that's really not enough to get settled in. I think before it would take me like a day or two to really be present and get away from all the stuff that was work related. But now it was like I was so ready from the moment that we were at the airport. I was so ready to just be there with them and really just enjoy that time, whatever we're going to do. My mom even mentioned this time that I just felt my overall demeanor was so much better. This whole time that we got to spend together, we didn't have one dispute or one argument. And my mom says, it seemed like I was mad at the world for whatever was going on. And I think she was right when she would tell me this before I really took the time to really work on myself. I'd get agitated and I'd blow it off, almost cutting her off before she even finished what she was going to say. And this time I listened more and I said, Mom, you know what? You were right. I was just pissed off at, the people that I had to deal with. It was just a prohibitive environment to what I needed. And what I need is growth. What I need is people that are willing to take chances, take risks, and just be better together as a team. So I wasn't getting that at all the different work environments that I was at. And she says, just so happy that I ventured off on my own. Obviously, it has its own struggles, but just doing that, how do you put a value, a monetary value as far as money? It's just so difficult to say how much money is your peace of mind worth, how much money is your whole outlook on life worth, because like, even though I left a comfortable, steady salary, it allowed me to have a better outlook on life. So if you're thinking about whatever career or whatever dreams that you're pursuing, think more about the end goal too. Think about all the things that go along to make that happen. Can you envision it being a joyful experience, something that you really look forward to doing every day? And obviously, what's going to be really important is the people that you do it with. So having that criteria of like, listen, these are the people that I want to work with. These are the people that you may have to learn how to deal with, kind of tolerating. But then there's other people that are just deal breakers. Sometimes it just makes the whole experience miserable. And that's something that I went through. And I think I finally figured out that, even though I had a love for agriculture at the time, most of the people that I came across with, I just didn't want to deal with. And I said, you know what? If agriculture is like this, with the majority of people thinking this way, then you know what? It's time for me to move on. And that's important to realize, all right, when it's time to pivot, because even though making money is important to meet our needs, it's not the end all be all. It's finding something that you really enjoy doing and can make a decent living. So as you're looking to construct your life, have that vision for your life, really think about prioritizing your loved ones that you have already, your family members, your friends. These are the people that are going to share those joyous moments, that are going to be there for you in those hard times when you fall. So that's very important to have in your life. Isolation can be a good thing because it helps us develop ourselves, but too much of it obviously can be a detriment. A really helpful exercise to help you realize just how important your family members are, your friends are, is actually write down or say out loud all the things that you like about them. Whether it's their patience, their understanding, their just being willing to help you out in whatever capacity you need. That's going to help you really to remember why it's important to be around them. Obviously, these are things that I think many of us know, and then life takes over and we can take things for granted. Remember, dreams and careers can change based on the people that you want in your life. Maybe they don't have to, but maybe they will. That's going to help you be closer to them. Just find whatever works for you. But remember, really come to value the people that you care for. Be present with them. Almost prime yourself prior to being with them so you can kind of detox from whatever daily grind that you're in, whatever daily work that you do, to really give all your time, really give your best effort to being with them. Anything worth having is worth sharing with them. But if what you have you're not able to share, then it can kind of make things unfulfilling. So whenever you can, if you're far away from those that you really care for, make it a priority to visit them as often as possible. Maybe it'd be a good idea, and instead of going on a getaway to somewhere else, just go visit them, spend time with them, tell them you love them, hug them, and just say, just so happy that you have each other. That's exactly what I did, and I feel so much more better about myself, better about the relationship I have with my family. So let's get past our differences, even though some people that we care for are stuck in their ways. Let's be there for each other in whatever capacity. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you're interested in more topics like this, become a Thriving Minds member at www.thrivingminds.live. It's your personal development resource so you can build that right mindset and live to thrive. All right. Until next time.